employer can legally monitor the websites you visit, your emails, texts, social media accounts, and the whereabouts of your company car even during non-work hours. Business owners say it's about productivity, but critics call it a big brother practice. Do business owners say as to why they need to monitor their employees so closely?
So, two most frequently given reasons are productivity and misconduct. They want to squeeze as much productivity as they can out of their employees because that means higher profit, and what that means it's they are trying to see where waste in their employer movement. With misconduct, I think it's pretty obvious.
You shouldn't be visiting, sites, illegal sites, or immoral sites during work hours.
Exactly right. Or doing things you shouldn't be doing on the web. Even using the internet casually, taking up too much time really is a time waster sometimes.
What can employers in Philippines legally monitor?
Okay, they can monitor anything that's how of their publicity. Of course, even your social media sites. What they cannot do, of course, is cannot request or require employees or applicants to give them their social media private password, but it's really up to employees and applicants to monitor their settings. So what about cell phones, texts, phones, calls, things like that? So a lot of that depend on who is issue the device. If they have a policy that says they can and will monitor, they can and many times will monitor those devices. If it's private and you're using a private account and your own private device, whether it's a phone or iPad, what you have, then the law is less clear about the employer can do. If you're doing on your own time with your own device, you're able to be protected.
You mentioned business owners are looking at this as a productive situation. There was a case in Manila of a man who got fired after being monitored for some of the stuff he was doing with his job. How can employers use this information? They can fire you over it depending on the nature of it. If you're at will, there's broad latitude to fire. The case you're referring to is a 2008 case where the public employee had been disciplined. For some time wasting misconduct, the employer wanted to find if it was still going on, so they attached a GPS to his private car. They found out he was wasting time and they fired him. In a Supreme Court of Appeals upheld that firing. They said the employer, the State Department of Labor, had an interest in its own integrity and protecting the waste of taxpayer money. Some would say the government can place a GPS on a subject's car without a court order. They can access your computer without a search warrant. How come employers are given that right?
So, employers, in broad terms, typically don't have constitutional restraints that apply the governments. Here in Philippines, the constitutional right to privacy applies to private employers and public employers. Here's what it's amount to if union you notice from your employer your reasonable expectation of privacy ring that allows that employers to do a lot more than he otherwise could.
What do employers have to disclose, and when they have to disclose it? Well, depending on the situation, they may not have to disclose it at all. There was a video surveillance case that said it was okay depending on the nature of it, harm that was involved. The bottom line is that if an employer does disclose, gives them much more right to review and monitor this behavior than if they don't. Most employers these days do have the policies that put employer always on notice.
So, okay, we know before it's happening. What about outside of work? Let's say you're ripping about your boss on Facebook. It is that something your boss can access. it depends. I know that you hate to hear that from the lawyer, but it depends on whether it's personal or mutual aided and benefits of improve workplace condition. The National Labor Relationship Board has issued guidance that say if an employee is con planning the order to make workplace condition better, that is protected. If it personal, employer can take action against the employee.
Your takeaway message to work concerned about privacy issues at work. Be careful about using company-issued equipment. What you say on company-issued equipment using company-issued accounts, whether social media or email, because somebody may be watching. Have a nice day, sir. So that is our debate about the needs of managing workplace monitoring and surveillance.
And must maintain confidentially in the workplace.
So I am Rizal Rino.
And I am Christian Brian Moral. And
Thank you.
sir.